This episode of the Pomcast is sponsored by knitwear designer, plant dyer, and yarn shop owner, triple threat, Lotta H. Löfgren. Lotta lives and works in the forest of southern Sweden, where her unlikely little yarn shop, Elk Market Yarn, is located in a small wooden cottage from the early 20th century.
Lotta dyes yarn with both foraged local plants and those growing in warmer climates, and her knitwear designs are inspired by her nearest surroundings: the forests, the changing seasons, the lakes, and the starlit night sky.
As a Pomcast listener, you now get 10% off your next order at elkmarketyarn.com with the code POMCASTApril. That's POMCASTAPRIL. And Lotta can't wait to welcome you to the forest.
I can't wait to go. It sounds magical.
It really does.
Hello!
And welcome to Pomcast, the podcast brought to you by Pom Pom Quarterly. I'm Lydia Gluck, and I'm here, as I am very frequently, usually every other week, with the lovely Sophie Heathscott. Hi, Soph.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm all right. What's your beverage for this time of day when you start?
I am now on a peppermint tea.
Nice.
Yes, because I've already had 2 cups of caffeinated tea. So I'm just breaking up the caffeine drinks with a little palate cleanser.
Nice. Then do you round back to a hard espresso at 3 o'clock in the afternoon?
Normally I drink coffee first thing in the morning, but I'm currently out of coffee. And I set my reminder to buy coffee and it keeps flashing up, but it's been flashing up for 4 days and I haven't bought coffee.
My love of coffee is too strong to 4 days.
I know. Well, it's because I've taken to buying my coffee from this specific place in Norwich, which involves going into town during the hours when they're open. And I just haven't been able to do that for the past 4 days. And I thought about buying a different coffee, but I thought, no, I want my usual coffee. I'm a creature of habit. So we'll see. I mean, anything could happen, guys. In a couple of weeks' time, you'll maybe find out, did Lydia buy coffee or not?
You've just been eating coffee beans raw, just to get that hit. Well, what is it about the coffee?
It's just particularly nice coffee. There's a, place where they roast their own coffee and have specific beans and blends. To be honest, my coffee knowledge is quite minimal. So I go for their most basic one, the one with the least amount of confusing sounding flavors. I'm like, which is the one that is best for people who just like fancy versions of the coffee they're already used to? I don't like it to be too acidic. I feel like it's quite fashionable for coffee to be quite acidic.
Is that what makes coffee cool? The acidity?
Well, okay, so context. No one else. So I realized that this is coming out of nowhere, but my youngest brother is a professional barista and is absolutely obsessed with coffee, and when he makes coffee, he does it really beautifully every time, regardless of where he is. He always travels with his own little grinder and a special device for making coffee, which is usually some kind of drip through. And so he's always trying different beans, and he follows all of these great. It's how you wouldn't really think about how the knitting world existed unless online, unless you were part of it. I was like, oh yeah, of course there's the coffee world, and there's coffee conferences, and when you go to do a coffee tasting, it's called a cupping.
Oh, that's a good fact.
So my brother Morgan, whenever he is oh, you've got to try this coffee, and I just think my palate isn't sophisticated enough, and often to me it tastes really acidic. And so in my little I don't know much about coffee brain, I've surmised that fashionable coffee is too acidic for me, and so I want a sort of slightly nicer version of the kind of coffee that you'd buy in the supermarket, basically. And so that is what I get more or less from a nice roastery in town. And so that's the coffee I've been buying in Norwich, and I really like it, and I don't want to accidentally buy coffee that I don't like. So I've got a sort of coffee hiatus.
Understand. Well, usually we start with chatting about the weather, so I just thought a beverage chat would be a nice start to the episode.
Who knew it would be so involved? What are you drinking coffee?
I have one coffee a day because I'm trying to cut back on caffeine, and yeah, I've had it. But now I've got decaf tea. Yeah, rocking the decaf. So here's a decaffeinated version of the episode. You can see what vibe we're working on. So yes, this is our chat episode, as has been signposted by this casual, cozy meander into the world of beverages. So we'll be chatting a little bit about what we've been up to, a little bit of Pom news, and what we've been excited about. So yeah, come and get cozy, grab your knitting, grab your crochet, grab your coffee. I don't know, what are you drinking? Maybe people listen to the evening. I don't know when people listen to podcasts.
Maybe your wine.
Maybe a wine. Why not? Yeah, so I guess what have you been up to, Lydia? I know about your shopping list for the coffee, so don't worry, we covered that. But
okay, I mean, you sure you don't want more detail about the coffee? So what have I been up to? Well, I'm now back in the UK. I believe the last time we recorded a Sophie and Lydia chit chat, pod chat, sofa chat episode, I was in San Francisco. Now I am back here, and one of my main projects since I got back was setting up my studio in my house, which is the second bedroom. And I now can't remember how much I have discussed this. I mean, obviously there's been like various chat about moving and decorating and so on, and my studio was the last room that I had left to turn into a real room and not just a pile of boxes in the middle of the floor. So since I got back, I've been lugging around furniture and putting it together and putting things onto shelves. I've got some very exciting shelving, actually, which I feel that crafty types might be interested in.
So, I always feel like I see a picture of people's shelves and I'm like, where did you get the shelves?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so great. So I decided that for this room, I didn't want to put shelves on the wall yet. I might do some built-in shelving, but I feel like sometimes, especially with a workroom, I don't know exactly how I'm going to use the room. So I thought I would have, a layout and see how that goes. And if I'm happy with it and it makes sense to put shelves actually on the wall, then I'll do it then. But in the meantime, I need shelving. So I thought I'll buy some racking because that is cheap-ish and quite heavy duty, which is good because I've got lots of paper and boxes and all sorts of things that need storing. And I found this really great shelving that is basically pop-up shelving, and it's metal and quite heavy duty, but it arrives flat, and all you do is it concertinas out, and then the shelves click into place. And it's also powder coated yellow, so I really love it. And it's really good. It took me a minute to put up, basically. It's quite heavy, but once you've got it in place, I just boop,
boop. So it's kind of industrial, yeah.
Yeah, it is pretty industrial. It's quite heavy duty. It is meant, I think, for garages and things, maybe.
Right.
I'm so happy with it. I've been telling everyone about it because it just was such a dream compared to putting together the more complicated furniture that I've done. And I actually really enjoy putting together IKEA furniture, or
me too.
Other flat pack furniture brands are available. But it was nice to have one aspect of the room that was just done within moments, and then I could put things on those shelves so that stuff was out the way. So I would highly recommend this pop-up shelving. So that's exciting. And that's what I've been up to.
That's pretty exciting. I did a clay class, which I feel like within the crafty circles I move in, everyone's always like, yeah, I'm going to get into clay, or yeah, I've done a little bit of clay. So I went to a place called Mud Gang, which is kind of near Waterloo, and I did their Make Something Useful class, and it was some different techniques, a bit of slabbing, if you're familiar with that, a little bit of using a plaster mold to make a plate. And I mean, this could be a whole dawning of my mud-based crafting.
So exciting. I've always wanted to try some ceramics, but I've decided that I will hold off any new hobbies for now, at least until I finish my masters.
You've got to try and now you've got a shelf. What else do you need? Maybe you need a potting wheel,
It's true. I always thought that maybe ceramics would be my 40s Lydia hobby. So
okay, right. Nice.
That sounds really fun.
It was really fun. I've done a little bit of ceramics when I was at uni, and a little bit of foundation. It's sort of something, I don't know, it's, if you've got to, you want to do it, you've got to want to do it, right? You've got to go to a place which has the facilities. It's not quite like, I'm going to take up sewing, or I'm going to take up basket weaving, it's a little bit more commitment. But yeah, I'm excited about, maybe this is a new clay-based chapter.
Very exciting. And have you been doing any yarn-based making?
Yes, I love the fiber crafts. Don't forget. Yeah, I made some Skyhill mitts, which are from the Pom book Knits About Winter, as well, you know. It's something, yeah, something I'd always wanted to make, and it uses 2 strands of DK held double, and they're just so big and cozy. It's kind of like wearing little oven mitts, but I'm really into that.
I saw them yesterday in the office, of course,
Yeah.
and was very delighted by them. They just look so warm. And since things are cold here at the moment,
Yeah.
I was like, yes, warm mitts. Very nice.
Yeah, very satisfying. We'll put all the notes to this on the blog and the show notes as we always do. But I used one of the strands I used is this beautiful alpaca tweed by the Border Mill, and there's something about the softness of the alpaca in this mitts just makes it so cozy.
Dreamy.
Yeah.
Very, very nice.
You doing any knits at the moment?
I am still working on Fia's jumper, which I believe I discussed last time, the very, very, very late birthday jumper. I've been really enjoying doing intarsia, which I have to say I didn't massively expect. It's not like I thought I was going to hate it, but I was a bit like, it's a bit more faff, you know. And it's sort of pretty simple intarsia. There's not loads and loads of bobbins. But it's actually I'm really enjoying it, and it's making me think that I'm like maybe I will make lots of very 80s jumpers with fun intarsia splodges on them, or I will. And I bought some fun yarn that I can use for Sylvatica, of course, from issue 38. Sort of intarsia technique that's not quite the same, but anyway, we will link to the things. But yeah, so working on Fia's jumper, and that's kind of the main one. I did get almost to the end of the front of the jumper and realized that because I'm kind of, she drew a picture of this jumper and I'm making it, and I realized I'd sort of slightly misjudged one aspect of it that I felt to be non-negotiable. I'm sure Thea would have been fine with it, but I want to do my very best for it to look how she wants it to. So I ended up ripping back about a third of the front. And I'm now almost back to where I was, but with things looking a little better, which was what it was one of those things where you're kind of arguing with yourself, like, oh, it's fine, right? Like looking at it for ages, for like an hour, sort of putting it to one side and being like, oh, I'll get back to it in a minute. It's fine. And then you look at it, you're like, oh, I probably should rip that back. Oh, no, it's fine. And then eventually I was like, just do it, rip it back now. And then,
yeah. We've all been there. It's also a testament to your new love of intarsia if you're like, yeah, I'm going to welcome the intarsia back.
yeah, it's true. Yeah, and luckily, it's just the 2 colours, so it's not too tricky. But yeah, very much enjoying that. And I'm also doing a little bit of, now I've got the studio room almost set up, it means I've got a good sewing space again, a dedicated sewing space, which I feel extremely lucky about. And I am going to a wedding fairly soon, so I'm sort of perusing potential wedding outfit sewing projects, which may be slightly ambitious, I don't know.
Nothing like a deadline. Yeah. Gotta get a deadline.
It's nice to think about it. There's a new pattern from Friday Pattern Company, who are an excellent, I really like their sewing patterns, and they just released something called the Saltwater Slip, which is a sort of fairly simple slip dress. But I think that if made in like a really nice sort of drapey, I've got some lovely tencel that I think would be really nice. I think made in a sort of, luxurious fabric could be a very nice, simple wedding outfit.
I love it. I definitely feel like sewing comes quite seasonally to me, and I think when the weather gets a tiny bit warmer, I'm more into the sewing vibes a little bit. Yes. Maybe I'll check that out. That sounds nice. I'm also working on something which is kind of top secret at the moment because we've got issue 41 around the corner, and as is my perk of the job as a Pom person, get to see these patterns that are coming out very soon. Maybe we should talk a little bit about issue 41. Are we moving on to Pom News? I think we might be.
Yeah, what a smooth transition.
Oh, it's like I'm a podcaster. So yeah, issue 41 is coming soon, so that'll be our summer issue. But I mean, I'm going to hint at some stuff. It's a summer issue, but there's going to be quite a versatile amount of patterns in there. It's going to be more patterns than you're expecting.
Yes, it's going to be a bumper issue because, of course, it is our 10th anniversary issue, Pom Pom is now almost 10 years old, which is kind of amazing. So we're celebrating in style, in knitting and crochet style.
Yes, you can look forward to the previews of that on the 27th of April. So yeah, this month, and I'm excited. I don't know what else to say, but I'm excited.
Yeah, soon there will be official announcements and previews and so on. And so definitely keep an eye out on the social media channels. Maybe sign up to the newsletter. But yeah, you can see things on Instagram and on our website. And by the time we are doing another episode of Chit Chat like this one, we will be able to talk in more detail about the exciting new issue, well, the summer issue.
Another publication we've been working on is our sock book. We talked a little bit about the sock shoot last episode. I don't know, we'll just give the people a little bit more sock info, I guess.
Exactly, yes. So we've been working on a very exciting sock book, as Sophie says, with the wonderful Rachel Coopey, who is well known for her sock-related endeavours in the knitting world, and has the capacity to knit a really alarming amount of socks in quite a short space of time, I've learned. It didn't surprise me, but I was still like, wow, that is a lot of socks.
Which is good for this kind of project, so yeah.
Indeed, yes. So we had our photo shoot, of course, and it was a very fun day. We were able to have many Pom Pom team members present and took lots of pictures of socks. It may surprise you to learn, but we had a lot of fun with the way in which we were taking the pictures.
Yes, so we were on in a studio. So sometimes for shoots we're in a location. So think about issue 38. We were at this beautiful mill in Norwich. And think about the most recent issue 40. We were at the Mexican American Cultural Center. But for the socks shoot, we were in a studio. It was like an old dairy, wasn't it? Was it?
I think potentially, yeah. It's like one of those kind of classic East London studios that's like all kind of bricks and like, yeah, I don't know, it's
concrete,
yeah. But has like, you know, really good like light from overhead often they have, and excellent studio based facilities.
So there we go, we set the scene. We're in a big old room made of concrete and bricks, and you're thinking I'm inspired already. But what we do is we set up coloramas, so big sheets of paper, really. It's the fancy thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a real fun injection of color from these coloramas, so quite a plain background, and then all these fantastic socks. And we basically laid on our backs and put our feet in the air, and that was the secret behind the shot.
Yeah, and we do have some other shots where people are, e.g., standing or sitting, but the majority of the pictures we took were exactly as Sophie described, and they were a lot of fun, and there was a lot of giggling.
Yeah. Lots of different, sock techniques, posing techniques, like flexing, doing a shy foot, being a ballet dancer, and doing all those, and now the socks are talking and make the feet move. So yeah, it was a lot of fun, the shoot. The socks book, titled TBC. I think it's going to be called Sock It To You, maybe? Something like that. The shoes on the other foot. Still working titles. But we look forward to bringing that to you in autumn this year.
Okay, so now we get to move on to the part where we just get to talk about various things we're excited about. Unlike all the other things we've talked about, which we are not excited about.
Mostly the podcast, isn't it? I've seen, I'm looking at show notes here, and I'm like, I want to hear what Lydia's talking about, because you've written Neocolor crayons, OMG, that is exciting.
Well, since you can see me, I can show you one of them.
Oh, yeah.
But the peoples obviously can't see this right now, so I will describe this. I've chosen a color that's gone really bright on the screen.
It's really kind of chunky. I like it.
Yeah, they're like sort of not hugely bigger than regular crayons, I think. But anyway, so when I was in Austin, Megan took me to an art shop there that was called, what was it called? Something really fun, like Jeffrey's Art World, but not that. I can't remember. Anyway, the point is that I tried out these crayons, and like they're actually Caran d'Ache, so I think they're like, yeah, they're
no,
Swiss.
What? Caran
Yeah.
d'Ache is a good brand.
Yes, and I'd heard of these crayons. I think they'd even been recommended to me a few times, and I just sort of hadn't got around to trying them. But they had that thing in the shop where you can like try them out. So I just bought like I didn't want to buy a whole huge pack of them, so I just bought myself like a few choice colors that I enjoy. You might be able to guess what those colors are.
Well, I mean, you just held up two of them, but
The other one
pink
is
and
big
yellow.
surprise. This
Yeah.
one, yeah. So yeah, pink, yellow, mint green. I am really obsessed with them. They're really, really fun. So basically, I'm reading off the label here. It says water soluble wax pastel. There's a lot
Ooh.
going on there. So it's like drawing with a crayon in that it's got that kind of waxy effect, and it's quite opaque. So one of the things I like about them is, of course, that you can draw on darker colored paper, and I really like drawing on not white paper, like on like brown or tan or like just whatever, like sugar paper especially. That's like my favorite. So crayons are perfect for that. And they are also water soluble, so if you want to, you can kind of use them a little bit like watercolors and like blend the colors that way. Oh, they're just so fun, and they come in all the fun colors, and I'm just really excited about them. I love a new just love a new art supply,
Yeah, I'm
exciting
inspired.
times. And I also bought some oil paint crayons, which they basically call oil sticks, apparently. So it's like
Oh yeah,
oil paint, but in crayon form, which are like really expensive. But I really wanted to give them a go.
cool. And it seems like the neo color thing, are they quite like concentrated then in the color when it comes out? It's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
waxy, I
yeah. They're
guess,
quite
or
dense. I've like not, I've only just started kind of exploring what I can do with them. And you can get like quite an incredible range of colors, but they're not super cheap, as you can imagine. I think you can get like a sort of basic set of colors for affordable amount, but if you want, it's a bit like any of these things, if you want like all 150 shades that they do, you're looking at like hundreds of pounds. So I won't be going there anytime soon, but I'm enjoying the colors I do have. And then the oil paint crayons are also really fun. Basically, I'm enjoying crayons, fancy crayons of various kinds.
oh man, love crayons. And I imagine, can you like blend them together then if they're like water soluble, like play around with them like that? I'm excited about them now as well.
Yeah, you
So
can. I'm trying to think. I feel like maybe I'll try and take a picture of something I've done, although I'm sure there's much more impressive work online that people
oh
can find. But yeah, exactly. So you can just, like a bit like watercolor pencils, like those were a
yeah,
big thing.
yeah.
Like it's a lot like that, except for that you've got that real like waxy feel to them.
Ooh,
Yeah, they're called Neocolor 2 Aquarelle, which makes them
nice.
sound very, very cool and fancy. So yeah, watch this space for lots of crayon related drawings, both of oil crayon type and aquarelle type.
Nice. That's really cool. I feel like there's definitely a Venn diagram of people who are listening to the podcast who like colors and yarn, who are also like, yes, crayons are stationery. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a hopefully people who will be interested in this crayon development. How about you? What's your current Soph excitement?
well, in this strange post and current pandemic world we live in, I guess, getting used to going out, seeing people a little bit. Still love being at home and watching telly every now and again.
Hmm.
And sounds a bit basic, but I'm really, really enjoying the new season of Drag Race.
I mean, what could be more fun?
What could be more fun? I mean, I definitely have talked about in this podcast how much I love Drag Race. And, I'm a dedicated watcher. I have to say, maybe there'd be some people agreeing with me. The last couple of seasons have been maybe a little lackluster. And I think maybe the pandemic situation is a little to blame, like some of the formatting is slightly different. But I personally feel that issue 14 of RuPaul's Pom Pom is, I think, has a certain lightness and hilarity to it that has been missing from past seasons. As an analysis of the genre, yeah, I'm just finding everyone very funny. I think the challenges they get to do are very great. For people who don't know, this is a competition where drag queens uh, compete to become like the super duper winner drag queen of that season. It's a format of many a show where there's challenges, people get eliminated. And yeah, I'm just having a lot of fun watching that. It's very funny.
I feel like, because I watched the first 9 seasons of Drag Race or something like that. Like, I've watched quite a lot of it, but I haven't watched it in a really long time, and I think it's time for me to go back to it. I also didn't watch the UK seasons, which is ridiculous.
Oh, well, I think I have to say the UK seasons are better than anything that the American seasons have produced. Sorry, it's just got to say that. Maybe I'm, biased with my...
I feel like a lot of the humor revolves around like cultural references, doesn't it? And I feel like when you're watching the American ones, for me especially, like, and I assume you too and many other Brits, there's like a lot of cultural references that overlap, but there's a lot that don't. So sometimes you're a bit like, this seems funny, but I don't really know why, or like, you don't know who it is that they're doing an impression of quite frequently. Like that's a bit, whereas I imagine in the UK version we're much more aligned in terms of knowing the references.
I mean, to reference one of the drag queens for something, girl, I don't know what she's saying, but I am living. So, that sums it up. Yeah, I guess that's bringing me a lot of joy and humor and fabulousness in a drag queen form. So I'm enjoying that.
Excellent. That sounds like very good times. And maybe I will watch Drag Race and do some crayon drawings at the same time, and the two things will be united.
Design a little like runway look.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, it's always nice to check in with you listeners, with you, Lydia, check in with myself, ask myself these questions, and spend a little Pomcast chat time in the veritable audio armchair that is the Pomcast.
Yes, indeed. And we hope that you all have an excellent couple of weeks between now and our next Pomcast. And next time, of course, will be an interview episode. So we will be joined by a wonderful knit world or craft world person who can bring all of their exciting crayon related they may have other interests, who knows, but we look forward to finding out about them.
Have you ever been to the pencil museum?
No, but I would like to go to it. Where is this pencil museum?
It's in the Lake District. This isn't a joke. Maybe this is a story for another time, but you can see the biggest pencil in the world.
For some reason, that reminded me of the fact that there is a shell museum in North Norfolk that I've been meaning to go to.
Yeah, it's one of my friend's favourite places. She has a tattoo of a shell.
There we go. And I like follow them on Instagram, and we can put this in the show notes. It is a very fun account to follow because there is so much amazing shell art that I did not know existed. And hopefully one day I will see it in real life. But anyway.
Oh, and before we sign off, we just wanted to say a big thanks to Elk Market Yarn.
Thank you so much for sponsoring this Pomcast. And don't forget that you can get your 10% off your next order at elkmarketyarn.com with the code POMCASTApril.
Great. Well, I know where I'm going right now. Online. Elk Market Yarn. Take care, Poms and Pomcats, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Pomcast is produced by Lydia Gluck and Sophie Heathscott, along with the team at Pom Pom Quarterly magazine. You can buy your copy of the magazine and subscribe to at our online shop, pompommag.com/shop.
Big thanks to Eli Block for creating the original music for this show and for being an essential part in creating this podcast.
Thanks as always to Megan Fernandez, co-creator and editor of Pom Pom Quarterly, and a big thanks to the whole Pom Pom team. We love them. They're great. They help us get this out on time. So thanks so much.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and why not leave a review? We would like 5 out of 5. Send any feedback or ideas to podcast@pompommag.com, and don't forget to keep in touch with us via the podcast group on the Pom Pom Ravelry Forum.